The camera on his own dashboard would end up saving his job. He didn't know that yet. All Sam Reyes knew, standing in a parking lot at 11 at night with a badge that no longer worked, was that the people who were supposed to believe him didn't, and by the time this story is over, you'll understand exactly what it took for that to change. 3 weeks earlier, none of this would have seemed possible. Sam had built his life around being the kind of man nobody had to worry about. Overnight security guard at Harlow's Home and Hardware, out on the floor by 10, home by 6, breakfast on the table before his daughter's alarm even went off. He liked the quiet of the job. The hum of fluorescent lights over empty aisles. The particular calm of being the only person awake in a building full of things other people needed. He walked the same loop every night, hardware, then paint, then the garden section that smelled faintly of fertilizer even in winter, and he could have done it with his eyes closed, which was, in a way, exactly the problem. Nobody watches closely for danger in a place they've made safe through repetition. He was 34. He had a scar above his left eyebrow from a bike he'd wrecked at 9 years old, stubble he didn't always have time to shave, and a gray zip-up hoodie he wore at home that had belonged to his wife before it belonged to him. She'd been gone 2 years. He didn't talk about it much. He'd learned that talking about it made other people uncomfortable, and Sam had spent most of his adult life making sure he wasn't the source of anyone's discomfort. His daughter, Mia, was 9, with a denim jacket she refused to take off even indoors and a mind that noticed everything. Some mornings she'd study him over her cereal like she was checking for cracks. "You look tired," she told him once, not as a complaint, just an observation, the way she noticed everything. He'd smiled and told her tired was just what dads looked like. She believed, with the total confidence only a 9-year-old can have, that her father could fix anything. It was a belief Sam had worked very hard to earn, and one he was quietly terrified of losing. What Mia didn't know, what nobody knew, was that 18 months earlier, Sam had walked into a pawn shop on the edge of town and handed over his wife's wedding ring. Simple gold band, small diamond, the kind of thing you don't think you'll ever part with until an asthma prescription refill costs more than a week's pay and your daughter is wheezing at 2 in the morning. He'd stood at the counter for almost 10 minutes before he could make himself set it down. The man behind the glass hadn't asked questions. Sam had been grateful for that, and ashamed of being grateful for it. He hadn't told Linda, his mother-in-law. He hadn't told Mia. He'd told himself it was temporary, that he'd earn it back, quietly, before anyone noticed it was gone. That instinct, solve it quietly, don't make a scene, don't ask for help, was the thing that had gotten him through the last 2 years. It was also, though he didn't know it yet, the thing that was about to cost him almost everything. Linda noticed things the way grieving mothers do, sideways, protectively, never quite saying what she meant. At pickup one afternoon, watching Sam load Mia's backpack into the car, she said,
"Is that job of yours stable, Sam? I only ask because Mia mentioned you'd been picking up extra shifts."
It wasn't an accusation. It felt like one anyway. Sam said the job was fine. He was good at saying things were fine. For days later, it stopped being fine. A pallet of high-value power tools disappeared overnight from the loading dock, on Sam's shift, on his watch, logged under his name on the delivery sheet. He found out the way you find out most bad news at a job like his, called into an office on a morning he was supposed to be sleeping, still in his uniform, coffee going cold in his hand. Store manager Denise Okafor sat across from him, glasses pushed up into her silver-streaked braids, a stack of paperwork already open in front of her.
"I have to suspend you pending investigation,"
she said.
"It's not personal. It's policy."
"I didn't take anything," Sam said. "I believe you," Denise said, and Sam would replay that sentence 100 times over the next 3 weeks, because believing him, it turned out, wasn't the same as protecting him. Corporate sent someone within 48 hours. Marcus Webb, Regional Loss Prevention Director, tall, gray at the temples, wire-frame glasses, a man who trusted patterns the way other people trust instinct. He set up in a borrowed back office that still smelled like cardboard, and he pulled Sam's personnel file. He pulled something else, too, records from 3 pawn shop visits over the past year and a half, filed under Sam's name and license. He didn't ask Sam about them first. He built a theory instead.
You've been in financial distress,
Marcus said, sliding a printout across the desk like it was already evidence.
Pawning valuables, odd shifts, and now merchandise worth several $1,000s is missing on your watch. None of that proves anything.
That has nothing to do with this, Sam said, and stopped himself before he said more, because more would have meant explaining the ring, and explaining the ring would have meant admitting out loud, for the first time, exactly what he'd given up and why. He didn't say it. He let the silence stand instead. Marcus wrote something down, unhurried, the pen scratching in a way that made the small back office feel even smaller. This is the part where a different kind of story would have Sam simply outlast the investigation, where patience and quiet good conduct win the day. That's not what happened. At first, Sam genuinely believed it might. He cooperated fully, answered every question, showed up to every meeting on time even though he was no longer being paid to. He told himself the footage would clear him within days. Cameras don't lie, he thought. Cameras don't have theories. When he finally asked, calmly, for the security footage from his shift to be reviewed, Marcus came back 2 days later with a different kind of bad news.
The footage from that window is corrupted,
Marcus said.
System failure, apparently.
We're looking into it. Sam felt something shift in his chest that had nothing to do with panic and everything to do with recognition. Bad luck doesn't usually happen to exactly the 12 hours that would clear your name. Someone had made that footage disappear. And whoever it was still had access to the building, still clocked in every night like nothing had happened, still walked past Sam's old locker without so much as a glance. If you're a single dad trying to hold together a life your daughter doesn't know is fragile, there's a particular kind of fear in realizing the truth isn't going to save you on its own, that somebody has to go get it. Priya Anand, a day shift cashier who'd worked the register 2 aisles from Sam's post for 3 years, was the first person to say what everyone else was thinking and not saying.
This doesn't add up. When would you even have time to run a theft ring?
You clock in, you clock out, you barely say 2 words to anyone all night. When would you even have time to run a theft ring? Sam almost laughed. It was the first time in a week anyone had made him want to. Be careful, he told her. Asking questions on my behalf isn't going to help your position here. Neither is watching them fire the wrong guy, Priya said, and went back inside before he could argue. He should have let her help more. He didn't, not yet. Old habits don't move fast, even under pressure, especially under pressure. There was a second meeting with Marcus a few days later, shorter than the first, colder. Marcus laid out a timeline of the missing inventory, cross-referenced against shift schedules, and asked Sam to walk through his movements hour by hour on the night in question. Sam did, in careful detail, every aisle, every check, every note logged exactly the way policy required. Marcus listened without much expression and thanked him for his time. It felt less like being heard and more like being recorded for a file that had already been written. 10 days after the suspension began, Sam was formally terminated, pending what the letter called further review. He read it twice in the parking lot before he could make himself fold it and put it in his jacket pocket. He sat in his car for a long time afterward, not driving anywhere, just watching the automatic doors of the store open and close for people who still had somewhere to be inside it. That night, Linda called. Her voice was careful in the way it got when she was frightened and trying not to sound frightened. I heard about the job, she said. I think, just until things settle, maybe Mia stays with me for a little while. It wasn't cruelty. Sam understood that, even as it landed like a blow. Linda had watched her daughter's life come apart once already, years before any of this, and she was terrified of watching it happen again through Mia. But understanding it didn't make it hurt less. It made it hurt in a more complicated way. That night, alone in the apartment after Mia was asleep, Sam did something he hadn't done in 18 months. He opened the drawer where he kept what was left of his wife's things, a few photographs, a scarf that still, faintly, smelled like her, and he sat on the floor with it, the pawn shop receipt for the ring folded into a small square at the bottom of the drawer, and let himself feel, fully, for the first time, what it had cost him to solve every problem quietly and alone. He had done everything right. He had been careful, and honest, and steady, for 2 years straight. And it had gotten him a termination letter, a suspicious investigator, and his mother-in-law asking to take his daughter. Somewhere in that hour on the floor, something in him stopped being willing to wait to be believed. The next morning, Sam drove to the store, not as an employee, just as a man with an old badge and a receipt for a delivery pattern he still remembered by heart. He asked a favor of Denise, one manager to one soon-to-be former employee, access to the delivery logs, just to look, nothing official. She hesitated, glancing toward the office where Marcus was working, then handed him the clipboard anyway. 10 minutes, she said quietly. That's all I can give you. Sam had spent 2 years learning the store's overnight rhythms the way other people learn a language. He knew which trucks ran late, which associates covered which sections, which shifts had unsupervised gaps. Looking at the delivery log now, with nothing to lose, he noticed something he'd never had a reason to notice before: high-value merchandise losses clustered, every time, around one particular overnight associate's shifts. Cole Whitfield. Buzz cut, tattoos up both forearms, always a little too friendly, always first to offer to help unload a truck nobody had asked him to touch, always the one laughing loudest in the break room about how understaffed loss prevention was these days. It wasn't proof. It was a pattern. But a pattern was more than Sam had had in 2 weeks. He couldn't ask for more footage, he had no authority left to ask for anything. So he did the only thing he could think of. He pulled an old dash cam out of a drawer at home, one from a car he didn't own anymore, half forgotten, battery unreliable, and drove back to the store that night. Not as an employee. As a man who had nothing left to protect but the truth. He parked where the loading dock camera couldn't see him, propped the dash cam against the inside of his windshield, angled it toward the dock, and waited. Midnight came and went. The battery light blinked low almost immediately, and for a moment Sam thought the whole plan had already failed before it started. He didn't move. He didn't check his phone. He just watched the dock, the way he'd watched it 1,000 nights before, except this time nobody was paying him to. Just after 1 a.m, a truck that wasn't on the official delivery schedule pulled up to the dock. Cole Whitfield came out to meet it, casual, unhurried, like this was routine, because it was. Sam watched, barely breathing, as boxes moved from the store's inventory into the unmarked truck in under 6 minutes. The dash cam's light blinked red, then amber, then held. For a few seconds it looked like it might die before the truck even pulled away, and Sam found himself silently willing a $15 piece of plastic to outlast 4 months of somebody else's carefully covered tracks. It caught almost the whole thing before it died, the last few seconds nothing but a black screen and the faint sound of an engine pulling away, which somehow felt like proof of its own kind, too. Sam didn't call the police first. He thought about it, the anger was there, sharp and immediate, and it would have been easy to let it lead. But he thought about what he actually wanted, which wasn't just for Cole to be caught. It was for the truth to be seen by the people who doubted him, cleanly, undeniably, on his own terms. So the next morning, footage in hand, he asked Denise for one thing: 15 minutes with Marcus Webb, in person, before anyone called anyone else. Marcus watched the recording twice in silence, leaning forward the second time, glasses off. Then he sat back and said the thing Sam had waited 3 weeks to hear. "I built a theory instead of asking you a question," Marcus said. "That's on me. I'm sorry." It wasn't a dramatic scene. There was no shouting, no vindicated speech. Just a tired, careful man admitting he'd been wrong, and another tired, careful man finally allowing himself to feel relief instead of just holding still. Cole Whitfield was terminated and turned over to police within the hour, the delivery records and the dash cam footage more than enough to end 4 months of a scheme nobody had thought to look for in the person everyone assumed was harmless. He didn't deny it once the footage was in front of him. He just shrugged, like getting caught was simply the cost of doing business he'd always known he might eventually have to pay, and asked if he could grab his jacket from his locker before security walked him out. Sam watched him go and felt, strangely, less anger than he expected, mostly just the quiet exhaustion of a question finally being answered. Denise, visibly embarrassed, personally recommended Sam for reinstatement, not back into his old role, but into a new one, loss prevention lead for the store, the position Marcus had spent 3 weeks accusing him of undermining. Priya found out before Sam had a chance to tell her, and hugged him so hard in the break room that he laughed for the first time in weeks. Sam said yes to the new role. It felt strange to say yes to something instead of quietly enduring it. That evening, he drove to Linda's house before he'd even had time to change out of his jacket. He told her everything, the ring, the receipt still folded in his drawer, the 2 years of not wanting her to worry about him on top of everything else she'd already lost. Linda was quiet for a long moment, turning a dish towel over in her hands like she needed something to hold on to. Then she said, simply, "You should have told me. I'd have helped." "I know," Sam said. "I didn't want to need it." "That's not strength," Linda said, not unkindly. "That's just being alone on purpose." He didn't have an answer for that. He didn't need one. For the first time in 2 years, someone had said the thing out loud instead of both of them working around it, and the relief of that was almost as big as the relief of being cleared. Weeks later, at pickup outside Mia's school, Linda didn't ask about the job. She asked how it was going, genuinely, the way you ask someone you trust. Mia climbed into the car with a drawing of the two of them, her and her dad, stick figures under a too large sun, and asked why he seemed happier lately. Sam thought about how to answer that in a way a 9-year-old could actually use.
Sometimes doing the right thing quietly isn't enough. Sometimes you have to be loud about it too.
That's not the same as making trouble. It's just making sure the truth doesn't have to fight alone. Mia considered this with the seriousness only children bring to things that matter. Then she went back to drawing, satisfied, the way kids are when an answer is honest even if it isn't simple. Sam Reyes got his name back. He got, in the same 3 weeks, something he hadn't expected to need, proof that quiet dignity, on its own, doesn't always protect the people who practice it, that sometimes it has to be paired with the courage to be seen, loudly, exactly when it's hardest. He still works nights. He still makes breakfast before Mia's alarm goes off. He still walks the same loop through hardware, then paint, then the garden section that smells faintly of fertilizer even in winter, except now he notices things he never used to, and part of him is grateful for that too. He doesn't carry every hard thing alone anymore, and when Linda asks how he's doing, he tells her the truth. What would you have done, in that parking lot, with a badge that didn't work anymore and a truth nobody wanted to hear yet, waited to be believed, or gone and found the proof yourself?